My name is Harry Sim, a retired architect. I graduated from McGill University in 1947. Life has been pretty good to me in Canada. Of course, I'm Canadian born. I speak a little bit of Chinese, but it's quite awful Chinese, to be honest with you. I speak a little bit of French. I think my French is better than my Chinese, but my main tongue is English. In fact, when I was going to school in Ottawa, they used to teach British history before they even taught Canadian history. So I'm more British than Canadian in some respects. Jack, who passed away in the mid-'80s, I guess, he ran the family business together with my late father during those years when we were attending school. So he kept the business going until all of us finished university. Most of us attended McGill because it was closer to Ottawa than the University of Toronto. For the amount of education, Jack was quite an entrepreneur, very outgoing. He became the local president of the local chapter of the Canadian Restaurant Association, and later the president of the Canadian Restaurant Association. He went to, as a matter of fact, my older brother, when we were growing up in Hull, Quebec, he went to a French school, so he became quite well-spoken in French. Well, the Tea Garden restaurant was opened shortly before the Second World War. It was in the heart of Spark Street, just below Parliament Hill, 145 Spark Street to be exact. At that time, there were still streetcars running up and down the street. Quaint old Ottawa. And Jack kept the business going, and eventually we built the El Rancho restaurant under the Champlain Bridge. At the same time, we had two restaurants going in Hull, Quebec. So between Dad and Mom and Jack, they were pretty busy. The clientele on Spark Street at the Tea Garden restaurant was a lot of civil servants and headquarter people in the armed services. I think the Army headquarters was on Elgin Street, close by. The El Rancho, of course, is more of a ranch-style restaurant. People drove out there on weekends and on weekdays after work hours because there's plenty of parking down there. And it was very scenic, very romantic scene. The two restaurants in Hull were a little bit, well, hard to manage. The clientele was such that a lot of people weren't exactly stable when they came into the restaurant. You know, there are a number of taverns and bars nearby, but it made it difficult for some of us who had to work to help with the restaurant. Of course, my parents, including my father, of course, who very conscientious about making sure that we're all educated as far as we could go. Jack is the only one who stayed behind and kept the family going well, and able the rest of us to go through university. So we owe a lot to him. My father and mother sort of believed that it wasn't the proper thing to do to have the daughters work in the restaurant, you know, as waitresses or whatever. But they did help occasionally, manning the cash. They're actually cashiers. So they had the soft job, while the boys really had to slug it out.